All right, guys, I just finished up a really awesome interview with my friend Matt, but we wanted to bring you a little bonus content. And so, Matt, a bonus question for you. What's your life like now? Or at least a lot of us, have seen the documentary about your life. Obviously, we know all of the crazy stuff that happened, but what's kind of been going on since that in your life?
Yeah, I mean, since that, I had never really planned on speaking, but I've gone all over and got to share my story, like when I come to Word of Life, and gone to a lot of different places and venues and ages, and that's been great. Then COVID happened, which everyone's experiencing, and kind of brought speaking events to a halt because nobody wants to gather in huge groups right now. So it's kind of going to see what's next, and what's next could be stuff like this digitally. And I got to do I did a really cool project with Bethany and Adam. The girl who lost her arm, Bethany Hamilton, and shark attack, and they actually were the first group to go through the curriculum. So, she was flying some guys out that had amputations as well, and wanted to kind of walk through that in 3 days with them. And kind of everybody had already seen her journey if they're coming out to see her. So they wanted to kind of tell a different journey, and so it was kind of creative. They watched the film, and then they FaceTimed me, and then instead of watching the sessions because they're not done, we did a FaceTime every morning and night, and it was really cool. So that kind of sparked my what's next question of, is there more of that? What does that look like to maybe do some stuff through FaceTime and work with groups and work with churches and camps? So I don't know.
Yeah, and that was they're in Hawaii, right? So you guys were like doing the time zone thing.
Oh my gosh, the time was crazy because I was actually speaking in Alabama. It was right at the beginning of COVID. It was like my last trip, and I have to do a call every morning with them, and then every evening. Well, their evening after dinner is like 1 a.m. for me. So I'm like sitting there like 1 a.m. trying to do this call, and then I got to get up to speak the next morning, and I'm just like sitting in the hotel room like, any minute, Adam. And he's like, hey, we're having a great talk. We'll call you in 30 minutes. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's 30 more minutes right now?
Right. Last thing I'll ask you is kind of a really fun connection between Word of Life Island and you, and that is that you actually grew up spending your summers on Schroon Lake, right?
I did it, and that was so crazy because when we did that first year where we showed the film and went around, we went with Kevin and Emily, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do 26 summer camps, and we're doing this route all around the U.S., and there was one stop in New York. And I said, upstate New York, that's where I'm from originally. Where is it? And he goes, oh, it's a town you've never heard of. It's a little town. It's on this lake, Schroon Lake. And I'm like, the shots in the documentary of me like learning to water ski and kneeboard, like that island in the background is Word of Life. And we always knew it was there. I knew there was a camp there. I never went to it, but I learned to water ski on that lake, and I love Schroon Lake.
Yeah. So such a fun little like just random connection, all those years later, then for you to come back and have such a great ministry on the island, both in person and then through your film. We showed it every week, one summer. So yeah, it's kind of a fun little thing. Who would have ever guessed?
Yeah, it's crazy.
All those years later. So, okay. Well, man, I really appreciate you just taking the time and sharing with us today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Tommy. I love Word of Life, and I can't wait to get back there in person.
Cool.